as Miss Sarah said, my name is Jennifer Kelly. A lot of people call me Kelz. I got that nickname when I was in the military, which I'll go over my whole background here in a little bit. That QR code, you guys feel free to scan it. If you're like me and have ADHD or like to be doing things at the same time as listening, feel free to explore all my different links. I have a lot going on with my career. So next slide, please. Like I said, we're going to talk about, who I am, all the different things that I do in my beauty career. We're going to talk about all the services that I absolutely love providing and that I actually now teach and offer kits for. We're going to go through my website and go over my suites information and like a tour through the videos of the suites that I own. And then, of course, Q&A at the end. Next slide, please. So that's me when I'm all done up. That's my son right there. Tried on my old Air Force uniform this year for Veterans Day. So I am a single mother. He is 7. He's in 2nd grade. I am a disabled veteran. I was in the Air Force for 5 years. I was in the intelligence career field. I worked with the satellites and the drones, and it feels like a different lifetime at this point. I used to work like 12 and 14-hour days. I worked night shifts, and then they'd switch us to day shift and night shift and day shift, and really cool. Looked cooler in the movies, but overall, a really cool career. And I gained a lot of knowledge and respect for working hard when I was in the military. But I also came down with a lot of like chronic pain. I have sleeping issues. I have nerve pain and nerve pinches in my back. I have endometriosis. So when I knew that I had to get out of the military and was being retired, I knew I wanted to look for something different, and that's how I came here. I am neurospicy. I used to say undiagnosed ADHD, but I actually just recently got a diagnosis for it, and my whole life has made sense now. I am a jack of all trades. That is part of my ADHD process. In this industry, a lot of people say, you need to find like one thing and just be good at one thing. And that's totally fine. Like there are really great, successful people who just focus on one specific thing. But a jack of all trades is better than a master of none. So it's okay to be a master of one, but it's also fine to do multiple things as long as you're passionate about them. And that's really what has kind of got me to where I am, because I just am always looking for something new and fun to do. So you can still be successful either way. I do call myself an entrepreneur now. Something that I recently came across is the difference between like a business owner and an entrepreneur. And although I am a business owner times 2, I consider myself more of an entrepreneur, because a business owner is usually focused on like just one stream of income or that one specific business, where entrepreneurs are looking for multiple ways, income sources. And so I consider myself more of an entrepreneur now. And I am a DIY queen for sure. I absolutely love renovations. I do all of my own like renovations in my home. All of my suites have pretty much been designed by me, sourced all products, and then a lot of the work is usually done by myself, or here in Indiana, my dad or my friends. So you guys you can start out just doing it on your own, and that's perfectly fine. All right, next slide. So first, we're just going to talk about like my journey, and I have some kind of funny stories. And like I said, I really wish I was there with you, because I absolutely just love like the energy exchange. But hopefully, you guys can still feel it, because I have been in this industry a decade now, and I started from a room in my house. This is just a few examples of the places that I've worked, kind of bottom, middle, and now. That first one on the bottom left is a room out of my basement that I used to do nails out of. I had set it up. I had all these clients. And that needed to come to my home. I was pregnant. I didn't want to work in a shop. I was doing things part-time. So I made a space at home. And at the time, that worked great for what I was doing. But, to grow, you have to grow. And I really didn't love the exchange of like having my professional life and my personal life. I have a dog at home, like my kid in the background eating chips right now. You guys can probably hear him. I would get nervous like an hour before my people came. So as much as I loved working from my house, it really was not my favorite. But that was where I started. And then once I moved to Washington, I moved on. I found a suite, and I ended up actually getting a storefront. So that place there in the middle with the black and the gray is my storefront on Broadway that I had for 3 years. It was perfect for what I needed at the time. I had 5 beds, and then I had a room in the back that I was able to utilize. I rented out the beds like booth rent. We all worked together. I was able to do my classes. I did tours with, the students at Evergreen, and I just really loved that space. When I moved to Indiana, I ended up, transferring it, selling it to a young lady who now is in Everett, and she does tattoos and piercings, and she's just turned it into a really cool location. So absolutely loved that. That next picture with all the neon lights, that is the suite that I'm currently working out of. And that suite is inside that building up top. And that building up top, I have the whole front half of it and working on taking over the rest. That is my suites building. Right now it's 3,000 square feet. And I'll give you guys, like I said, like a little bit of a peek inside later. But that's kind of an overview of just some of the spaces I've worked. And now we're going to go through the timeline of all the different schools I've gone to and all my horror stories of that, as well as when you're looking for spaces, some things that you need to be careful of. So next slide, please. So here, I started, like I said, I was in the military for 5 years. I am 35 years old. So that was a long time ago. I was in the Air Force from 2009 to 2014. About a year before I got out, I knew that I was going to be getting out of the military. So I went ahead and started looking for other industries and other, kind of part-time careers that I could do, that I could make my own hours, that I could kind of cater to, my newfound chronic pain and illnesses. And just, I never thought about nails when I was younger, but when I was younger, I was interested in the beauty industry, but I didn't want to do hair. So I revisited it because it seemed like a fun service. I did not realize that different cultures did nails. I thought that it was kind of, more of like a very detailed, and it is, but I thought it was kind of like gate kept in certain communities, especially, there used to be a lot of Asian salons, and they were so talented and so detailed that I just never thought I could do it. But you can see there that I actually did. I had a lot of clientele when I lived in Virginia and when I was getting out of the military, and I loved my nail clients. I mean, they were like repeat clients, and those sometimes are great, or those services where they come back to you all the time. You really get to know them like family. And I sucked when I started, and I got into it because I thought, I bite my nails, I want to do them to myself, and I want to be able to have that skill. So it was something that, I was already passionate about, and I really just practice, and, turn that into a thing. Around the same time frame, I learned about permanent makeup, and once again decided I wanted to do it on myself. It was not really a thing back then. It was mostly done by like tattoo artists and like a few people from other cultures, like Hispanic cultures, Middle Eastern cultures. They were really kind of like the first ones, and then an Asian culture as well. But really, the Asian culture is who really brought the microblading and the nano, like all the really detailed stuff once again over, but that didn't start until a few years later. So in 2014, it really didn't become big at the time. I just did a few people. I did my mom's, I did my own, but I was really busy with nails. And then I moved to Washington the summer of 2015. I went to aesthetic school in Bellevue. I did nails on the side. I was pregnant at the time with my son. And before I talk about this school, I want to go back and talk about my nail school because y'all, okay, have you ever seen somebody with like a spray on hairline? The guy who ran the school was a preacher on the evenings and weekends, and he taught us class if you want to call it teaching, give us hours during the day. And we basically would set up his pews and all the things for his, people in the evenings. And we would get lessons, life lessons, like why he was wearing his rhinestone cross suit jacket with tattered sleeves and holes in it, because it showed resilience and, the trials and tribulations that people go through and, refuse to ever replace it. But yeah, we didn't learn much. So needless to say, that was complete, like, self-taught. Permanent makeup, the lady literally handed me a book. Well, she sent me a link to order a book like a week before my class. And when I showed up, she told me she was going to go to the store while I went ahead and started. She wanted me to start on eyeliner, so I tried setting up. I didn't even start on the person. And when she came back, she took the machine, went in with hardcore. The lady was screaming in pain. I'm over here why did I sign up for this? And she's like, okay, it's your turn. And I'm like, I want to do this, So I did. I tried. I didn't do eyeliner for 3 or 4 years after that. I stuck to brows and lips, but it was an experience, and it was another thing that I really had to learn the ins and outs from the ground up. And luckily, I did get into the industry when it hadn't quite started yet, so I was really able to get a lot of the tools and learn, as the industry grew. So it really put me a little bit ahead in that industry. So then when I moved to Washington and I was in my aesthetic school, that's kind of when the shift changed, because I thought I was going to do nails forever. I just thought I was really good at them and my clients loved me. But when I moved to Washington, nobody wanted their nails done like that. Nobody wanted stilettos and stones and colors. And, I could find very few clientele that fit, my vision. So people were asking me about permanent makeup, and I still was like, no, I only do that part time. I'll do a few, I was working out of a Mexican hair salon in Everett, and it was amazing. I had my baby with me in the back, and, I had my nails set up, and I would do eyebrows here and there, but I was just chilling until I went to Evergreen in 2016. And I'm feeling emotional again, Sarah. I know I told you earlier I wasn't going to cry, but maybe I will this time. But last week we did this. I cried because I saw Miss Ashley, and I don't know how many of you have met Miss Ashley at the Evergreen campus, usually in Everett, but her and the instructor program specifically changed my life. This is not a selling point on the instructor program, but the program itself really taught me so much about the value. The value, that I really had to offer, because I didn't, we're all imposters. Even me, a decade in, owning my own suites, being a mentor, coaching, talking at panels and conferences, I'm still, I feel like an imposter at times. So that program just really helped me see how much I really had to offer. So I was going to the nail students and I was trying to teach them nails. They didn't want anything to do with me, but all these aesthetics babies were like, come our way, teach us permanent makeup. So, I started teaching, and I realized, how much I really knew, and how much, me having to build from the ground up, it really, put me, where I was. And I just fell in love with teaching. And that's when around the same time that I had gotten my storefront, I also, while I was in school, I had somebody that let me stay with, they let me rent their suite from their hair salon, and it was a beautiful location. We had a 6-month agreement. I was in the middle of teaching one of my first classes, and the building owner came in and said that the landlord abandoned his lease and moved to, I believe, Florida or Vegas, and we had to be out within 24 hours. So that was in the middle of my class, at lunchtime, and I had students scheduled the next week. So I really had to push myself to hurry up and find another location. So I found another location. I took that little bit of money that I made in my first class, and I put it right back into another location in Everett. This was off of Everett Ave. There used to be a little spot down underneath called Snacks, and the lady used to have other businesses that would rent inside. And I put in $5,000 into this building, and I built a wall. We put in floors. We put in sinks. I had my grand opening. We were open for around a month. I had my big grand opening. We were getting like all our advertisements out, and the city came in and told me that they were shutting the building down. It was being condemned because the actual building owner refused to follow city guidelines with electrical permits, and basically it was not legal to be working in there, and that I should start looking for somewhere else. So once again, every single dollar that I had made that month went right back into finding another location. And that's what took me to that storefront that you guys saw. And that was around the time there when I was at Evergreen after the instructor program. I found that storefront. I was there for 3 years, and I was really able to concentrate on growing those, my programs and teaching. And Evergreen actually gave me an award. You can see there on the left, for my courses, and just really being like a resource, like Miss Sarah said. Because I really live this life. Like, I really enjoy it. I love it. Like, it's just what I do. You can see there on the right, those are some pictures of me, either guest speaking or I used to substitute teach. I absolutely miss it. I really would love coming in and listening to you guys and being like a sounding board, because I know you guys are bored right now. You're probably even bored right now while I'm talking, because this is just a video and I'm nobody. But take advantage of the time. And at the end, during question and answers, like, I'll go over this a little bit more, but you really, really need to take advantage of this time to build your business, make your service menus, look for your websites, look for your different, like, what you want to use for your payments, look for a CPA, decide if you want to, file taxes as a sole proprietor or an LLC. All of these things are things that you could be doing while you're bored in school. Creating your social medias, those are, just start posting quotes on there for, whatever, but you need to start wrapping your mind around building your own brand and building your own business, because nobody else is going to do it for you. That's why we're in this industry, right? So with all that said, after the instructor program, next slide, Miss Sarah, I moved to Indiana. That was in right around COVID. So right before I moved to Indiana, it was 2019. That's when COVID started. I had in January, most of you guys probably remember, COVID hit in like March. So in January, I had a lot of students asking me to do online classes. And I wasn't really a big believer in online classes before COVID, but I do see the benefit in them now. I think for certain services, it's okay, but for many services, you still need in person. But I'd already started making a few online programs and options. So when COVID hit, I was really able to pivot and be fluid in my business. And I just really made all of those programs really great. Like, I spent, an obsessive amount of time over it and just put my all into like getting everything set up. So I actually made the most money I've ever made in my life during the year of COVID. And that was just by being fluid, and moving and being able to not look at all the downfalls as like disasters, crying about it for a day or two or a week, and then kicking myself in the butt and like getting moving. So when I moved to Indiana, I did know that like things would be different here. The Midwest, some of you may even be from the Midwest. I had a few students from the last class reach out to me. And the Midwest, we're a little behind here. People aren't as excited about some trending services, and it's a little bit of a lower cost of living. So, of course, pricing is slightly different. But, Indiana is also, there's pros and cons here too. So you got to find your market, find your clients. So the first year I was here, I was in a suite, and I was coming back to Washington every 2 to 3 months. I came back 4 times the first year, 3 times the second year, 2 times, and now I'm kind of at like the 2 or 3 times a year. So in 2020, 21, I was in a suite, and it worked because I was traveling a lot, and I was trying to get my son settled. Then I started looking for a space exactly like what I had in Everett, and that didn't happen, right? Like, you're not going to find the same thing. And you, like, once again, I had to open my mind. I'd seen this building, and I thought, I'm not, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like, do I really need something that big? And it's just like, if not me, who else, right? So I toured this building. I did all the negotiations myself. I don't always recommend that, but that is possible, especially depending on the landlord. Um, I negotiated with them. I was able to, show them a business plan and all the different things that I had for it, and they really believed in my vision. So I was able to renovate the space in 60 days, and we had our grand opening in November of 2022. And my suites have been full. I have an event space that is almost constantly in use for workshops, trainings, baby showers, yoga classes, birthdays, networking events. I have a commercial model that does photo shoots in there right now. So I'm just absolutely loving it. That room on the bottom left there is a room that I rent out by the day for especially beginners or people who need a space that's professional. They can drop in by the day and use it, bring your supplies. And then you can also, if you're traveling and stuff like that. So, if anybody ever wants to come to Indiana, Indianapolis, let me know. I got space for you. But yep, here's some of the pictures. That's me and my son up there at the grand opening. Absolutely loving this space. And like I said, it was a big jump, but it's been great. So this year I have been doing a lot of things. I bought a house this spring. I do a lot, like I said, of renovating a lot of that. So you guys feel free to follow my personal page too. I post a lot of those on there. And then after buying the house, I have also been on an advisory board for this really cool, they're called C Leaders. It's a customer service industry. It's a really big company. We had an award ceremony recently. We're having a beauty conference in February. If anybody wants to fly in, once again, I got room for you. And I'm going to be on one of the panels. I'm going to be a speaker. I taught a class at a beauty conference recently here for a hair show, and I just absolutely I'm having a ball at this new place in my life. And I am coming out with real coaching programs starting in January. They'll be you'll get an hour a week with me, and then you'll have, of course, texting access and stuff throughout the week. And we'll do a monthly thing. And so if anybody's interested in that, I can do it virtually as well. And I also have by the hour coaching too. So we can show a little bit more about that later on my website, but that is kind of my timeline for my career. Next slide, Miss Sarah. So for this one, we're going to talk about all the fun things that I do. Some of these are under your esthetician license and some of them are not. I will talk specifically to Washington State for this on which ones are and which ones aren't. And we can go to the next slide. So the first one I offer, this is unregulated. This is not under your aesthetics license. This is a fun one that is just something you can do. Honestly, you can do it while you're in school. I have girls here that like to go to vendor events and offer it. They do mobile teeth whitening. I like to do teeth whitening in my shop. You can even have 2 stations. The teeth whitening is self-applied in Washington State. So you're just giving them the tools, the setup, the lamp, the glasses. It works great because their teeth are dry. They're sitting there under the lamp. Stuff is all natural. It's safe. We're not using anything that is not legal for us to use. This is all over-the-counter products. It's just our process that works really well. And you can charge anywhere from $150 to $250 just for an hour. And like I said, it's self-applied. So it's a pretty simple, fun service. The teeth gems, they are a blast. You can charge anywhere from $40 to $300 for less than 4 gems. I usually charge $40 or $60. It takes me 15 minutes to do it. For something there in the middle, that young lady paid me $300 to do 2 full covered teeth, 2 hearts and 3 or 4 diamonds in the middle. So it's just a fun service. It's the glue that we're using is orthodontic glue. We can put it on. We cannot take it off. We should not be using tools on people's teeth. If any of you have already taken classes, my online courses are absolutely great refreshers. They give you consent forms and everything. Once again, we can talk about that again there. So, all right, next slide. Another one that's a fairly quicker, simple, easy add-on I absolutely enjoy doing is lash lifting, tinting, brow shaping, lamination. I didn't spell lamination right, but anyways. So the lash lifting is fun for your natural girlies who don't want the upkeep of individual lashes. And there are a lot of those out there. Individual lashes are fun, but for a lot of us who have allergies, myself included. The brow lamination and the shaping and tinting, I really enjoy that service for my clients who are not ready for the commitment of permanent makeup yet. And a lot of people like this one. I think it's really good for younger people who really shouldn't be getting permanent eyebrows done. We shouldn't be doing trendy eyebrows. We can always, change them over time. So, all right, next slide. All right, so the brow tinting, lifting, lamination, lash lifting, that's all under your aesthetics license. This BB Glow Nano Infusion, that one's under aesthetics, and the microneedling, I believe, is now under master esto in Washington State, or it could still be undefined, but it depends who you talk to. So clarify with whoever before you're offering it. But the BB Glow and the Nano Infusion, that is literally just on the surface. That's only under your epidermis. It's a really fun facial people love because it's an immediate result. You see like a glow, and it looks like we're tattooing like foundation onto our skin, but it's just going into the epidermis. So as we know, as estheticians, the epidermis turns over basically monthly, totally every 90 days. But you can do this service every month and you can charge anywhere from like 80 to $100 just as an add-on for that. And it's fun, it looks cool, it's trending, and it is immediate results. The microneedling is more invasive. Usually make people bleed. This is for scarring. I really enjoy the microneedling too because I like these fun result-driven services. This service also has 100 other names, CIT, collagen induction therapy, dry needling. It's also called now inkless stretch mark removal or something. You guys, these are just fluffy words for the same thing. So just look at the techniques. If you want to learn the technique, basically it's microneedling, all the same thing. All right, next slide. And I'm sure most of you now have heard of dermaplaning. You may have already learned it at this point. If you don't feel like you've learned enough, my course is only like $49 on the website. Demos, consent forms, manuals, printable manuals, recommendations for products and stuff like that. Like I said, there's great trainings and stuff out there, but make sure you get training on these things, even if it's just a quick basic course. Don't be trying this, and don't use brow razors. We may or may not use them on ourselves at home, but don't use those on your clients, please. You can charge like $60 to $80 for this as an add-on under your esthetician license. All right, next slide. All right, permanent makeup. This one is not under your esthetician license. This is its own separate license in Washington State. There is no test for it, but you have to have your bloodborne pathogens, and you have to pay I think $250 a year. It's definitely about the money for the service because you can make a lot of money, but it's also a very serious service. So just because there isn't a test, it doesn't mean you shouldn't take it seriously. This is the only service that I do not offer beginner classes online. This is a program that you do 30 days with me. I send you all your practice supplies. You do homework. You go over the manuals. You play with the tools. You get to know them. And then when I come into town, we do 2 models together. Each student does a model each. You cannot go somewhere and watch your instructor do a person with 20 other people in the class. Your beginner course should always allow you to do a model. So I do brows, I do lips, I do eyeliner, I do freckles, I do beauty marks, and then in the paramedical tattooing world, I do areolas and scar camouflage. Perma makeup is life-changing for a lot of women, and it's definitely my favorite service. They don't see you all the time for this one, but my clients that get the permanent makeup love me forever. So next slide, Miss Sarah. So here's just a few more examples: the lips, the eyeliner, brows. Like I said, I absolutely love this service. Anywhere from $200 to $1,000 off of these services that you can make. All right, next slide is going to be my website. So this here is my website. I want to just take you guys through, kind of from the home page, just a quick walkthrough. So when you come on here, if you're looking for courses and stuff like that, you can, you know where to go. So if you scroll down on the main page, you can see some categories here. I've got my Pro starter kits. These are all the kits that I offer. They do come with the online training, and you can also you'll have access to me, of course. And then you've got your online training tab here. This is just for the online courses only. You have your in-person class signups. Those are more for like the permanent makeup hybrid course where it's partially online, partially in person. And then we've got my alumni shop here. And once you have purchased from me, you are able to continue to purchase, your products and stuff that you get with your kits. That way you always have access to them. So if we go to the kits here, you can see, I've got the microneedling, the BB glow, teeth whitening, tooth gems, the brow and lash lifting and laminating. These are the ones that come with the online courses, and these are all great beginner kits. The pricing on these is great because you can make the price of these kits and trainings back with like 10 clients or less, and even with model pricing. So I really try to make these things accessible for you guys just to get started, to see if you like these things. You can grow from here, and I use all these products myself, so these are really great options. I'll show you, like, for example, the teeth whitening here. Like I said, this is one that you guys can do even now, while you're in school, because it is an unregulated service. I have a clip-on lamp option that's like a mobile or a deluxe lamp. Really the only difference in the two kits is that this lamp looks fancier. So it really depends, on what you're interested in as far as your setup. You always want to make sure you read all the details. You do get a certificate with your training. So here's just one example of the kits there. So if we go back to the home page, I'll just go ahead and show you guys like the online courses. These online courses are all $99 or less. Even if you guys have taken courses in the past, I think that this is a great option to have a refresher, or even just to get some like extra tidbits of information that maybe you didn't pick up in your other classes. Or if like I said, I've taken a lot of courses just because I really enjoy services. So I'm not trying to sell you on these, but if you didn't get a consent form in your basic course, you need to take another course. So for an example, let's just show you guys like what the online course includes here. So this is just the lash lifting one. You can take both, and it's still $99. You get a printable manual, printable facts and dictionary, demonstration videos, consent forms, aftercare cards, a patch test form, and a certificate. Obviously, it shows all the different topics it covers. And then, like it says here, if you guys sign up for the online courses, you will get your link to enrollment in your email, usually within like a few hours. And then once you guys have purchased courses from me, you have forever access. That means forever, like lifetime. As long as I have my services online, you guys can always go back to these courses and pull from them. If I ever update, you have, automatic, approval into these courses to see future updates as well. For the permanent makeup courses, like I said, I do come back to Washington a few times a year, specifically for the permanent makeup courses. I have a lot of people who usually take either the brows course, which specifically focuses on all the different brow techniques. This is the deposit to sign up. This gets you guys, your practice kit, your online portion, and, access to me for the whole program before I get there. And then we do models, which at that time is when the rest of, your balance is due. So also, I have this all things permanent makeup. I already have a few students that are looking to take this in April. So if anybody is interested, get with me so I can try to lock down dates here within the next month or so, even if you just want to do brows, or if you're interested in doing the eyeliner, the lips, and, the brows. and also freckles. So these kits, these classes, like I said, this is an actual like program. So with the All About Brows course, we do 2 models in class. In this all things total permanent makeup basics, we're going to do like 8 models in class. You guys make sure, like I said, you can go through and read all the different things here on the website if you're interested. And of course, reach out if you have any questions. Once you guys have purchased classes for me, you can always come back to the student portal here, and it'll take you right back to my courses. And then here at the client portal is where I offer all of my services, and you guys can see like what I offer for my clients, and how much I charge and stuff like that. And then Alumni Shop, this is where you can re-up on your supplies once you have purchased a kit from me and need to get more. My coaching and mentorship, like I talked about, I will be rolling out some new programs come January, so keep an eye out for this. Right now I currently offer, by the hour if you guys are looking for some like really detailed help. So if you're interested in that, take a look. And then now we'll go back to the program, my presentation. All right, and this is my Instagram for my sweets page. It's called Elevated Image Sweets. My regular page is Image by Kelz, so this is Elevated Image Sweets. And I really just kind of want to show you guys some of the before and afters and just kind of take you through the process of, getting this place together. This was obviously my biggest investment. Before this, I'd spent, usually $5,000, $7,000 into my spaces. Even my storefront, I spent, maybe around $7,500 to get that place like up and running. The price points on like what you spend in renovating a space is really going to depend on how resourceful you are and how much work you're willing to put in yourself. I personally put in $25,000 into this space. I have never had funding. It is something that, I actually preach to my mentees now because, if you're not set up in the beginning, when you're ready to have funding, you won't have it. So you always want to make sure you're starting out, correctly. But like I said, I put about 25 grand into this, but myself and my dad literally did everything. If you guys want to come and explore all these, I've got videos of us working together. I wanted to show you some of these before and afters. This building was a Kirby vacuum sales before we rented it out. The owner had been there for 30 years. They had not done any updates. As you can see, there are lots of Kirby vacuums, lots of paneling. I did everything, literally every inch of this place. I did talk about I have the whole front half of the building. I'm currently working on taking over the rest of it and looking for another location. But right now I have 7 private suites and an event room. This was, back when I first opened. We opened in October of last year and our grand opening was in November. My suites have been pretty much consistently full ever since. I'm on like a main road out here. We absolutely love it. All the people inside, keep pretty busy. When you're looking for spaces, make sure that your landlord is professional. I know that, we want like easygoing people, but you also like if your landlord doesn't have you sign a lease, then, you might want to see that as a red flag. My leases are, 11 or 12 pages long. They're very straightforward. It's very easy for me to, make sure everybody's on the exact same page. When I tour the space for tenants, I do a lot of, questions. I'm very realistic with people. I do offer month to month. I offer month to month, or year-long contracts depending on, where you're at in your career. I don't think that anybody right out of school should jump into a long-term lease. I think that you really should try to share with somebody, try to get booth rental, or, if you're building your clientele now while you're in school and you're ready, go for it, but please make sure that you can pay that rent even if you don't have clients, because this isn't, this is a real business, and there are landlords out there that are doing things like correctly, and I could take my tenants to court if they don't pay, and I easily would win because of the leases that they signed. So my tenants have all been wonderful. I really haven't had any trouble with any of my people, but it's really dependent on where you're at, as far as what type of clientele you get, and you just, as far as looking for a space, make sure, like I said, you can afford it, make sure you have a business plan, all the things. So there's my suite there. Here's the event room again. We have had so many fun events, from networking to trainings to birthday parties to, I'm going to start hosting brunch and brainstorms. You guys are actually welcome to join me. I'll be doing it by Zoom as well. That's just where like goal-minded and like-minded entrepreneurs can get together, and we can discuss like pain points in our businesses, and just brainstorm. Everything in my suites here, like I said, I kind of like sourced myself. Most of the stuff is from Amazon or Etsy or Marketplace. We tore out this carpet ourselves, so my dad and I built a wall. We put windows in. Like I said, when you're building spaces, don't immediately jump to the $20,000 chandelier. If you're, going out of your own pocket, there's lots of ways to find things that you can afford and really still make your space look awesome. Here's my suite again. This was like one of the main offices. We literally painted like the ceilings. I, found the different like wallpapers. My dad and I figured out how to install that. We put that marble flooring in together. So, I know in one of the last presentations that I did, that was one of the questions was, how much should you invest in your space? And it is so dependent on how resourceful you are. This room here is my daily room. I actually rent this out like a booth rental type, and it's really great for people who are like traveling. Wink, wink. If any of you guys want to come to Indiana, you're more than welcome. Here's my event room again. This is one of my networking groups that I am part of. It's called the Boss Babe Network. I think I'm going to host a networking event when I come out there as well. Even if you guys don't take some classes, maybe you can jump in on I'll probably do like a brunch or something like that. Meet and greet type thing. It would just be really fun to get together with everybody. So, like I said, April is kind of when I'm thinking. Yes, I even spruced up the bathrooms. So yeah, just make sure you guys, keep an eye out on my social media. I absolutely, like I said, am always available, even if you just want to shoot me a quick message. Feel free. I actually do run most of my social media. My assistant occasionally will answer, but usually on my Image by Kelz page, you guys can always reach me. Oh, there's my kiddo. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm sorry for any technical issues. We are working through these as we go, and I really appreciate you for listening and being here, and hopefully we'll chat soon.